So while we took a little break from the Siege line to look at Cyberverse Megatron, if you can believe that, we're going to kick things up a notch by looking at the new Siege Leader class figures, and we're going to start that off with this guy. He is Ultra Magnus, and he's going to be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. I hope you're having a tremendous day. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers, Collectors, NL, and me everywhere. And this time we have this guy. It's the new Siege Ultra Magnus. And he looks stunning, even with all of this unnecessary battle damage look. I didn't need that. Just make it blue, man. I love the rich colors here. And he does have a presence in package, but how does he stack up when we get a meta package? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And here, thanks to friend of the channel Cyril, we are looking at the new Siege Leader class Ultra Magnus. And let's kind of start things off with just a little bit of a math review here. We don't have a box or the instructions to look at this time, unfortunately. We just have the figure and his accessories. But I've been doing kind of a new thing recently with Guilty or Innocent. Are the price increases that we've seen for the Siege line justified or not? And they were difficult to justify at the deluxe class price point because the increase was by 50%, causing an overall, hike to the final price tag of 33.3%. Then, for the Voyagers, the price increase equated, in my neck of the woods anyway, to about 34%. When it came to a final price tag for what we were paying, we went up 25%. In other words, for deluxes, we went from $20 to $30. And for Voyagers, we went from $30 to $40. It wasn't as big of an increase, but we're talking a higher price point. Then we come to these guys, him and Shockwave. And when we look at Ultra Magnus here, he too went up by 20%. It went from $60 to now $70. That's a big price jump when you're talking about, you know, those amounts of dollars, but it's not as egregious as the other ones have been. Is this guy worth the extra 10 bucks? Well, let's begin by taking a look at his accessories. And the very first noteworthy thing is this blaster. I assume it is cast in red and painted silver. That's what all indications point to. It's nice. I do feel like it might be a little bit more hollow than I would like, but it's definitely a nice looking blaster. Definitely Ultra Magnus-ish, if you will. We also have two of these black ones that are just mirror opposites of one another. They're molded nicely, not a lot of paint. There is a bit on the front tip though. Some silver up there, that's nice. They're cool. They're cool. It's nice to have them, I suppose. And speaking of Magnus and his accessories, there, of course, because this is a Siege figure, places where these can go. We have a couple of slots down on the legs there, maybe down right there as well. We have some on the arms, I believe. Yeah, out right here. Though we have his shoulder missiles put in there, they can actually detach. I didn't show these. They're white with painted red. The red paint doesn't quite match the red plastic. It's a little bit darker, but it looks good. It's nice and rich. But they can come off, and of course we have ones here on his shoulders. I'll put those in there. We have a couple up here on his, like, on his upper part of his shoulders, up like near his head, I suppose. And there's probably a couple more that I'm missing. Certainly one on the back. So, like, the blaster, naturally, the main one, the silver one here, it can go in his hand, no problem. It's a bit loose in his hand, like it's not gonna fall out, but like you can easily wiggle it around. If you don't want it in his hand, there's a peg in the middle of his back, and you can just put it in there, and it looks like that. So I dig that. Then we have the other two black blasters. I feel like again, I guess these can go in his hand, I assume. Let's find out. I feel like the handles on these are kind of big. I don't know. Maybe they're not even intended to be able to go in his hand. I have no idea. I can't really get that to fit in his hand. It can fit in the air. I guess it can fit in the hand. It's tight though, man. Nah, this isn't mine. I don't want to break it. It's too tight to go in the hand as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to give it to him. It could go up here on the shoulders. Again, it's a tight fit, but you could put them up there on the shoulders, which I guess adds to the playability value. And of course, you could squeeze the other one down over here if you wanted that. But if you just kind of want to have these sort of out of the way, then you can always just come to the back, and there's a peg hole up right here on the lower leg, and you can just peg that in there and take this one and do the exact same thing and peg it in over here, I guess. There. Wow, that took a little bit of effort to do. Just a bit more than I would like, but that's not because it's hard to do. It's just, it was, because of the distance it was hard to do. It's actually quite easy to put them in on the back of the legs so that they look like that. There you go. And there he is next to the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, my iteration of Ultra Magnus. And when it comes to guilty or innocent, when you initially look at this, right away it looks like, hey, this is probably going to fall on the side of guilty, because the new Siege Ultra Magnus only appears to be about the size of a Voyager. Roughly. Bulkier, but only about the size of a Voyager height-wise. Slightly taller. That's it. Certainly not what we think of as a leader class figure. And I get it. I absolutely get it. Now, some people said, hey, yeah, but the Combiner Wars one is so hollow and feels so lightweight, and the Siege one is so much heavier and denser. He is definitely denser. Let's see if he's heavier. And good old Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus clocks in at 345 grams. The Siege one? He actually clocks in at 348 grams. So the Siege Ultra Magnus, despite being shorter, is not only more dense, but actually does include more plastic overall. So who knew that right away we would have something that kind of tips the scales in favor of him being a justified price increase? There's actually physically more plastic included with this guy. Let's get to grading and kind of see how that adds into the equation. Well, we have paint apps first and foremost. Now, there's a lot of battle damage on this guy. Down on his toes, on the thighs of the robot here, on the chest there's a ton of it, on the inside of the forearms. I'll say this, it bothers me on this guy. I feel like it's too much. Now, some people have said that they don't feel like it's too much. Fine, I get it. But here's the thing. The blue on his upper shoulders, for example, that's all paint. There's a bunch of paint done on the head. We have more paint down here on the front of the leg. The whole kind of waist piece here is all painted. So even if you were to take off the battle damage, there is a significant amount of paint on this guy. Enough that I'm kind of astounded at how much a regular mainline release has in this case. The blue is a very nice, rich, lush blue, and the painted blue, compared to the blue plastic, is a perfect match. The red is slightly different, but it doesn't bother me too much. It's darker on the missiles than, say, on his main body or on the back. I've been kind of asked to remove some of the battle damage. I probably will. You know, it will definitely take some work. I've heard of people doing it. I can say this. In all cases where I have heard of people removing the paint, Of course, you need to be careful when you do paint removal, as we all know, I think, but people have said that it's not easy. It's on there good. It is on there very, very good. So, in terms of paint, it's extremely reminiscent of the G1 toy with battle damage. I like the animation look a bit better, but I can't deny it. This is undoubtedly Ultra Magnus. I'm going to give it a strong 9.5. Absolutely a strong 9.5. As well, I should note that there are a few key paint apps on the smaller robot inside, and those few key paint apps only add to it. And the reason I'm saying 9.5 instead of a 10 is because I feel like the battle damage takes away from the overall look. At least as much battle damage as was done here. Like, I think it could have been done maybe more on the edges, maybe just slightly toned down a bit. I don't know. And that's a bit of a personal nitpick. Maybe you love the battle damage look, and if you do, then his paint apps are probably a 10 for you. Because I'm saying 9.5, because you might think a 10, let's split the difference and say that his paint apps, officially going on my scoring here, is 9.75. Still a tremendous start for this guy. You'll notice that I'm starting him out the way he comes out of package. Let's get into his articulation next. We're only going to be able to do a part of that now, but we're going to start it and of course deal with it as we go. Now, there are things that I do certainly like here. The head can go left, it can go right, it can look up a little bit, it can look down just a touch. It more wiggles up and down. But that wiggle up and down is really a bit more movement than the Combiner Wars one has. If you start to lift the Combiner Wars one up, well, you sort of see Minimus Ambus underneath. The arms, they go around very smoothly. It's like it's a friction joint, but it's toleranced really, really shockingly well. The arms, they can go way out to the side. I think that that's great. I wish that the arm in here wasn't gray either. That's another reason I don't give it a perfect score. I wish that where that gray piece is, kind of in around the bicep elbow area, I wish that that was white. Then we have 90 degrees at the elbow. We have wrist rotation, which I think is pretty tremendous. We have one very important joint that this guy has that admittedly, as much as I like the Combiner Wars one, he does not have, and that is a waist joint. And he can go all the way around if you're so inclined. Absolutely can go all the way around. When we get to the legs, we have the ability to go out to the side on soft ratchets, but the ratchets hold well. We bring those down. This is where things get a little bit weak with the guy. If you want to stand him straight up, it looks silly because his feet can never actually go straight. It's really weird. Like, do you see that? Do you see the way his feet are inward? He does have an ankle tilt, which is great. Like, having an ankle tilt in is tremendous, but all of this is molded as one piece, and he cannot stand straight up. He has to be in an A stance, which is not a big deal breaker, but like, it is somewhat limiting. Okay, so we know the limitation with the feet, but we're not quite done with the legs yet. In terms of going back, we also have a limit because of all this junk here. It can't really go back. Heavier ratchet out to the front holds nicely. And we do have a knee that's not quite 90 degrees because I guess the calf and whatnot is really, like all of this section is really bulky. It's 85 degrees, I guess, 80, 87 maybe. It's almost 90, but like it doesn't feel like it because the thigh feels sort of, I don't know, sort of kind of short. The legs are this guy's greatest limitation. And before we get into the conversion, like, here he is, you know, with that added play value of all of those ports. You may also notice that I have a couple of blast effects on him. There's a couple of spots on his chest. There's one here on his arm. You know, I mean, there's a lot here. Now, all of this being said, while the paint is fantastic, the articulation is certainly serviceable at this size, noting the couple of weaknesses that I noted, you can't deny this play value. Here he is all cogged up. And see, do you see what I mean? Here he is with all these other parts on. Look, here's the thing. Like, even with the leg imperfections, it's undeniable the play value that's here and the customizing value that's here and the creativity value that's here. There's things that I want to dislike about it, but I just almost can't. Now, that being said, like, if you really don't like parts formers, I don't know if the Siege line is for you at all. I mean, Cog certainly won't be for you if you don't like parts formers, and I really don't think Ultra Magnus here will be for you, but the ability to be able to put them together this securely is almost awe-inspiring to me. Anyway, let's get into that transformation, at least step one of it. Okay, so there are definitely other options and configurations available. There's no doubt about that. The conversion, like I said, right now he's getting a 9.75. All we've graded is his paint apps, and we've started to look at his articulation, noting a limitation with the leg movement back and kind of a limitation on the knee, and the fact that those feet in this large robot mode need to stay at a bit of a curved angle. Slight shame. In terms of the conversion, we're going to start taking parts off because we want to get to the smaller robot inside. So you can begin by taking off the shoulder pieces. They actually go on quite securely. Oh, and if you didn't already do it though, you probably should have already had it done because it does go over a tab here on the back. This gray piece should be off. So you can take that and lay it to the side. Come over here, take down that gray piece, pop the shoulder piece off. If you don't do that, you may encounter problems with these smokestacks. Possibly. I can't say for sure, but hey, you never know. When we come to the lower arms, we just open up the inside, and now we slide this off. It suctions in there, at least on this copy, it suctions in there really good. There's a 5mm port there and a 5mm peg on the inside of the forearm that holds it in place and does so quite securely. I really wish that the method of putting pieces on here had been used with like the Magnus Prime and LG42 back in the Titan's Return line. And we lay that off to the side. Of course, we do the same thing on the other side over here, where we open up the inside of the arm and we take it off. We can come to the legs and they just slide out. I mean, he's just wearing big boots. He's wearing big, you know, his big snow boots. He's getting ready to go out and do a bit of shoveling. And at this point, we're left with this, but we can fold out the heel and fold out the heel. And he still stands surprisingly well. And now we have what looks like a really weird, like, it's like he's like a newborn baby, just born from the well of Allsparks, just learning to toddle his way through life. Goo goo gaga, that's right, because the chest, the head, is really out of proportion here. It's obvious that with the extra parts, you do need them because they do affect the proportions. He's not just a Voyager, it's the way it goes together is sort of elegant because it doesn't work without the parts attached to it. Like if you only, you know, have his big boots on or only have his arms on, it will look at a place. You do need all of his, say, armor bits on. So how do we take this off? We detach it and we have a little rectangular slot here and here on the chest. There are little rectangular pegs on the bottom of this blue. So we take that up, we lift up the head, it too is attached, and then we come to the back. Now this part really got me. There's a spine back here. And this, like, it can slightly move up and down the spine, and I thought, well, do we slide it off or what? You don't, you just pull it off. And I find that a bit uncomfortable. I don't know, it's not as elegant as I think I would have liked for that. And we're left with this. Now, before we do anything else, Let's come to the front here and pick down his waist, turn it around, push it back up. Then we can come up here to these shoulders. They are pegged in very securely. And if you're anything like me, the first couple of times that you bend them back like that, you're going to feel like you might break something. You won't, you shouldn't, but you might want to like kind of be careful with it, but realize you're gonna have to use some force. Then we get to this section. The one here is real tight and kind of difficult. It's loosened up a couple of times after I've done it, but it still doesn't feel the best. Certainly not easy. We put that up after flipping the head out. We bring these arms forward and snap them back in. Then we come here to the back and we make sure that this is lined up. And once it is lined up, make sure that's out, make sure this is perfectly lined up. Once it's lined up, that piece can slide up and we can slide the body back. And this is our smaller robot mode for Ultra Magnus. Now, what about the articulation here? Well, the head, it can still go left and right all the way around, look up and down a little bit. The arms can go all the way around and out and bend 90 degrees, and the wrists will go around. In other words, all the same articulation that the big robot had. We still, of course, have the waist because it's the same one that the big robot had. The legs still go forward on ratchets. Now they can go all the way back. They can swivel at the thigh. If we have a 90 degree, like it's barely 90 degree, I want to say like 89.5 degrees. And we still have a bit of ankle tilt, as well as, I guess, like toe articulation, or sorry, heel articulation. Like there's a lot there to kind of like. And here he is with Optimus and Megatron. He is definitely a Voyager, but I feel like he has a little more bulk here. He's just a little touch shorter. What I do like though is that he's very reminiscent of Optimus without being Optimus. That being said, this inner robot is going to get kind of redone a bit because this mold is going to be reused to give us like a Galaxy Convoy or Cybertron version of Optimus Prime, if you will, depending on how you follow the fiction. I used to call him Optimus Prime from the Cybertron series, but now I've gotten into calling him Galaxy Convoy. It's not really for me. I'm not a Unicron Trilogy fan, but for anybody who is, like, I think that this is a solid reuse of it for that. Again, we have, for what's there, decent paint apps. Now, to be fair, we have a mix of white plastic, clear plastic, and paint here, and there's not a lot of paint apps to do on them, but what you'd kind of want done is done. So I respect it for that. I absolutely do. The articulation is quite good. I mean, it's quite strong. I like the articulation on this guy better than on the larger robot, to be honest. So I can't give it really any knocks. There's no joint that feels bad on him at all. Nothing feels rattly either. As much as I love the Combiner Wars one, that's the thing. Certain joints, like, you hear that? That's how the Combiner Wars one feels, you know? Again, there are a couple of ports on the arms here. A couple of ports on the legs, I think. That might be screw holes, possibly. He doesn't have as many ports here to accommodate, like, the Battle Masters or the Micro Masters or anything, but I don't know if he really needs it, you know? I really don't know. So we're going to finish the conversion for this guy, get him in truck mode, and then we can kind of lay him aside while we look at all of the other parts for his body and what can be done with those. It's not hard, it's just certain tabs are so tight that I do find it sort of hurts my hands a bit to do it. I don't know if kids really are going to be able to do it. I guess it depends on the tolerances, and maybe that varies. We begin by untabbing these shoulders, and we got to bring the chest out again. I wish that came out easier. I really do. We fold it in, and we slide it back up. We go to the back and we slide this piece down, and then we turn the entire truck around and we can slide it forward like that. There's kind of the front of the truck done. Then we can come to the legs really. And we have a little rectangular tab in here and one on the other side, way up by the hip. And really what you're gonna do is lock them into the leg. So you wanna kind of bring the leg out, bring it up, and then bring it in. Bring it out, up, and in. And when you bring it in, now they're locked up here at the hip, and you also lock them here at the, I guess we'll call it the heels, the ankles? Ankles, I guess. And flip up his heels. Beauty. We're almost done. Now we have to deal with these arms. And I wish that there was a more elegant way to do these, but there's not. All you're really doing is taking them and flipping it in and bend at the elbow and we're going to flip it in. And when we flip it in, I guess I should have mentioned this, we have a rectangular tab here that goes into a slot right there. Most of the time. if it wants to. So to be fair, I didn't quite have things lined up here, and that's why I was struggling to tab them in. I squared it off and tabbed them in. I will note too that the blue has scraped off onto the white here in just one location, or it was a bit of overspray or something. It doesn't seem like that one streak of blue is coming off, but it's something to note. I don't know if it's on everything, but it's certainly on this one. And I wonder if it came off while putting the shoulder pieces on and off. The last part of transformation is to turn the hands like this, and that's your truck mode, and it rolls fine. No clearance, but it rolls fine. We have nice painted rims, I dig that. I don't really like the arms stuck out here, but they will go hidden later on. In terms of being a truck, like, I guess it's fine. I could buy this as an Optimus-esque type of truck. I could even buy it as an Ultra Magnus type of truck, since it looks suspiciously like his car robots or 2001 robots in disguise iteration. Although if the robot mode looks G1, then I would really like the alt mode to be G1. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, what about all those other pesky parts? And those with a distaste for parts forming must really not like this. We begin by taking these little pieces here, and honestly you can kind of just fold them up. They're his forearm pieces. Take that, fold it up, take it out of the way, and you can sort of do the same thing over on the other side. You're just folding those up and taking them out of the way. And then we come to these shoulder pieces. You can really take the shoulder missiles out and you can take them away. Now we actually have to do some things with the parts that are left. Let's begin with those shoulders. As I'm sure you can tell, we have both of his shoulder pieces here, and what we have is a little white rectangular tab there, and we have a little blue slot there. This slides up into that. It doesn't just peg in, it like slides up into it so that we have a piece that looks like this. When we have our piece that looks like this, I will note that once we get the trailer together, these two kind of pegs here hold these shoulders in place, and the truck, the cab of our truck, really goes fit over this. You'll notice we have like a cut out section right there in the gray pieces. Well, do you remember where we connected the ankles together in the truck? Well, what do you know? That fits in here just perfectly to secure the cab of the truck into place. So we can lay this aside. And next we have the body piece. This was the back. This of course is his head and shoulders, and this is his chest. All this really does is unfurl to be flat. So we flatten that out and we open this piece out. I will note that we have kind of two tabs on the edges here and one right here. That's what locks onto really the leg sections, and this will turn over like this so that the head is encapsulated inside of the truck, and this will be the top of our truck when we're done. And indeed, I did mention those leg boots, and from here, really all you're doing is opening that out, flipping it out all the way, opening the kind of whole section out, and then there's even a little section that you flip out so that in the end, taking that one out of it, you have something completely opened up like this, and then once you have it opened up like that, just flip this in like that. Here's the side of the truck, or one of them anyway. You can even leave this here if you're so inclined to do the same thing on the other side, so that in the end we have something that looks like this. This is going to be the rear of the vehicle. Now, that being said, you'll notice there's a little tab right there. It goes into a notch section there. There's a couple of more teeth and notches that go together here. But before we do that, if we really want to solidify things, we're going to have to get the top of the, I guess, trailer into position. So just putting that aside for a second, you'll notice that we have a little notch right there. That's where a tab will go. A little rectangular notch in right there. And we have a rectangular notch like that on the other side. So if you will remember, I said that we're going to use tabs here and right here in the center. So we begin by taking this and tabbing it. Get that out of the way for now. Tab that into the side like that. We take this one and we bring it over. It will tab into the side, and then all of that should tab together. It's, I don't know, it's a little bit of a nuisance to get done, but not too bad, I guess. But yeah, we get that together and solidify it, and that'll be the trailer part done, kind of. Now, I wasn't really sure how to go about showing this next part, so we'll do it this way, I hope. I hope this works. We still have those two trailer pieces, and we still have the two arm pieces from earlier. Now, I guess the first thing to note is that up underneath the red, here and here, we have little rectangular tab or little circular tabs that these arm sections can go onto, like that, and like that? No. Like that. So that's where the arm sections go. What about the shoulder sections? Well, they kind of come down here, and we sort of, using this space here and this space right here, we sort of just push these into position there. They don't want to cooperate, of course, and they came apart naturally. And if you're lucky enough to get it to work, it actually slots in there very securely. Now, the whole side of the trailer comes up, and when it comes up, we have like a tab here that goes into a slot on the blue. Coming up the side, we have a little, like, I guess, almost clamp on the blue that goes over a little red section right here. Like, there's a bunch of locking points coming up the side. They actually line up very nicely. Now, before we do that though, some people have asked, can you bring down the shins to make this like a trailer, you know, that vehicles can get inside of? No, you cannot bring down the shins. Can you make this into a base? You can, kind of. It's not official, but you certainly can, because of course the original back of the original Ultra Magnus, it could become like kind of any number of base configurations, as can the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. This one, for example, can do something like this. This is but one example of kind of a bajillion things you can do here. Again, added play value, and there's still a bunch of pegs and whatnot and ports available that you can put stuff onto. But since it's by rights a trailer, it's supposed to look like this, at least basically. Now, these blasters apparently are supposed to go up on the front, and the little like shoulder missiles are supposed to go back here. Or you could put both of them up front and kind of use the peg hole that's on this, or you can leave these back here, which I like, and you can put these a little more G1-ish-esque, if you will, up front here, like that. And his actual blaster, I don't know, I mean, you could put it here facing back or here facing forward, or of course you can put it down that way, maybe. I'm sure there are other options, but that's kind of what I do with it. And then finally we bring in the truck. Now when we bring it in, if you will remember, I said that we had the crossbar here where the ankles are connected and it goes down in that gray section. To secure this into place, I just have to line it up correctly. And once I have it lined up correctly, I can lock those sides back in. And in the end, boom, here we have Ultra Magnus in his not so G1 truck mode. By the way, though I just sort of like pushed the cab in there, you can see the gray sections right here. The white connector of the two ankles is in between that. By the way, I also wanted to note that when you clip everything together, on the sides of the leg there are little gray kind of rectangular tabs. They need to clip in down below as well. And when you take this trailer off, you may actually want to put your hand way down by the bottom when you start to flip this back so that you can kind of wedge it off of that little gray piece. You don't want to break anything with this guy at all. And of course here are the two Ultra Magni. Magni, I think. And obviously the Combiner Wars one is vastly more G1 accurate in alt mode than the new Siege one. The Siege one obviously is an homage to his appearance in Car Robots RID 2001, and that's what really does it in for me. It's not that I don't like it, it's just if you're going to do a Car Robots RID Ultra Magnus, then do him. If you're going to do a G1 Ultra Magnus, then do him. I know some people will say, hey, it's his Cybertronian mode before he became this car carrier Earth mode. Don't care. Don't care. The robot is so G1 accurate that I really wanted the alt mode to be G1 accurate, and it's not, and that kind of kills it for me. Look, here's the thing. I said the paint is a 9.75. Objectively speaking, his articulation is easily a 9. Easily a 9. In fact, in this mode, he rolls super tremendously well. So, really, outside of the kind of limitation of the ankles having to be in A stance in the big robot mode, and maybe wishing that the knee could bend a degree or two more, everything is really there for articulation. I'm going to say his articulation is a solid 9. Solid 9. A couple of slight imperfections in the big robot mode. But, like, minor nitpicks. Still 9. Overall, right now, he's getting like I don't know, like a 9.4, I guess. Transformation, despite the fact that he's a parts former, everything tabs in, super secure, fantastic. Though some things maybe look fiddly with me doing it, honestly, none of it really is what you get to it. Some of the joints and tabs on the white cab are a little more snug than I would like, but again, that might be results will vary, and it might not be true for everyone. It might just be this copy of the mold. They work well, they're just kind of hard on the fingers to maneuver. Overall, I'm going to say his transformation. Even being a parts former with everything that you can do with it, and I only touched the tip of the iceberg, especially with things like base modes, it got to be, again, a solid, I'd say 9 to a 9.5. Overall, Ultra Magnus is darn near perfect. He is a solid 9.5. He's not for me. The Combiner Wars one fits the bill for me better because I don't like this alt mode. Otherwise, I think he's splendid. I really do think he is splendid, and I can see why people have kind of fallen in love with him. He is fantastic. Now, guilty or innocent? Because he was shorter and smaller, I was all set to say guilty. But with the added paint apps, with the fun transformation, with the incredible playability, even though we have one solid chunk here and the cab cannot move, even though there are a couple of limits with the big robot that are really very minor. I gotta say, I think that when it comes to a verdict, is the added price tag something that we can see here? Is the added quality something we can see here? Is it justified? His verdict is innocent. And believe me, folks, it shocks me just as much, if not more, than it shocks you.
And as one added little bonus here at the end, I did a little bit of work on this guy. I removed the battle damage on the thighs and on the chest as per Cyril's request. It took about an hour. It was definitely kind of challenging. It's been left on the toes, though you don't see it in this picture, and it's been left on the inside of the forearms. It's like, you can remove it there if you want, but this is enough, I think, to give you an idea of what this guy would look like without the battle damage. And I said it before, there's enough paint on this guy that he's impressive without the battle damage. I didn't need it. I don't know, maybe you did, but if you're curious what he looks like without it, well, here you go.
And so here we are once again, and I really want to thank Cyril for letting me take a look at this guy. This Ultra Magnus is not for me. I get it, he's the right size, he's a good Voyager size, and fits in well. Like I've said for a long time, even when I got the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, that I felt like that was too big for Ultra Magnus. I felt like I wanted a Voyager size Magnus. And if this guy had an alt mode that resembled G1, I might replace my Combiner Wars Magnus with him. But he doesn't, and I don't like the alt mode at all. I know what it homages, I don't care, I don't like it. Either you're doing a Robots in Disguise Ultra Magnus, or you're doing a G1. Don't do both, because it doesn't work as far as I'm concerned. Even here, there are a couple of little nitpicks, like the limited leg articulation around the knee because of all this junk and bulk. I don't like the gray in here, that kind of drives me nuts. He's good, he's strong, and if you choose him over the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, I understand why you would. If you didn't have the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, and now this guy's coming out because you've gotten into, collecting in the last couple of years, and you opt to get this guy, there's nothing wrong with that, because he's not bad. It's just little nitpicks, like his feet always, have him in an A sense because they can't bend out anymore. It's just minor little things, but the things he does right are done so very well that you can't deny that it's a quality figure. It's made of quality materials. He feels solid in both, his smaller robot and this mode, and vehicle mode. There's a lot of versatility in what you can do with the junk that's on him. But if you're not a fan of parts formers, this guy will not be for you. You have to understand and respect that he is a parts former. You have to be cool with it. And you have to look for the beauty inside and the versatility that it brings. He's not for me, but he's still definitely a strong figure. Let me know your thoughts on this guy and your experience with him. I love to hear from you guys. Again, please hit that subscribe button, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.